Khushamdeed and welcome to your Urdu course. My name is Michaela Bekan and I'm the director and founder of Zuban and also the author of the course book Qadam, which looks like this. And I hope you're holding this book in your hand right now and are ready for your Urdu course. In this short video, I would like to just take you through the different parts of the book so that you can get the most out of it and your course. So let's get started. First of all, let me say a few words in general about the book and its purpose. Qadam means step in Urdu, and we've chosen this name to indicate that this book is all about you taking your first step or your first steps in the Urdu language. In the top left corner, you will see that it says A1.1. This refers to the level A1.1, and it is the very first, very basic level in the Common European Framework of Reference. You may have heard about it or have seen the abbreviation CEFR. And at the end of this book, you will be able to understand and use familiar everyday expressions and basic phrases. For example, you will be able to introduce yourself and others. You will be able to ask and answer questions about personal details, such as where you live, about people you know, things that you own, about your home, your family, and you will be able to just in general interact in a simple way with others, maybe a shopkeeper or a landlord or a neighbor, as long as the other person talks slowly and are prepared to help you. If you want to know more about the details of the content of the book, you can look at the very first page where it says content and learning goals. And there it will have the different topics, the different grammar points that are covered. And yeah, here you can get a nice overview of the content. So the book is basically divided into 4 parts: the introductions, the course book, the workbook, and at the very end, we have a couple of appendices. The introductions include a number of different things, including the content and learning goals, which I just referred to. Then we have a short section which explains or gives you some tips of how you can use the book, for example, for self-study, or if you have a teacher, if you don't have a teacher. And then from page 6 to 8, there's an important section where we explain our teaching approach and our methodology and why we've made the book the way it is. So if you want to know more about the background of the book and how it came about, just our philosophy, then this is where you should turn. After that comes the course book and the workbook, which is the largest section of the book and the core. In the following slides, I'll explain that a bit more in detail. And at the very end, as mentioned, there's the appendix, which includes a glossary, but it also includes a section where we talk a bit about the whole topic of the Urdu script, transliteration, and Roman Urdu. As you start learning Urdu, you will discover that, the whole topic of Roman Urdu, how should we spell things if we don't know the Urdu script, is something important to talk about. So if you want to know a bit more about that and also our approach, you can turn to appendix number 1, which you will find on page 81 and 82. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the workbook, which is the 3rd part of the book and starts on page 44. And in my opinion, this is really the heart of the book. The workbook, as it said, it is something to be working with during your class. And this is the part which you will be using in the course. And you should have open in front of you. Also, if you're doing online classes, please have the workbook open in front of you. And we want you to fill it out, to write in the book, to do the activities during the class, or perhaps also for homework. One thing I want to mention is, or one thing you will notice is that next to the activity numbers, there are some introductions or some instructions in the Urdu script. Now, not all of you will be doing or will be learning the Urdu script, and you will not be able to read or understand this. So I just want to tell you that that's totally fine. The instructions that are written there are mainly for your teacher, and maybe once your Urdu is better, you will be able to understand that as well. There are some activities where some words are written in Urdu, And if you don't know how to read and are not planning on learning how to read the Urdu script, the teacher will simply read it out to you, and you can then underneath, you can write it in your own language, or you can transliterate it so that you can remember what words they are. So when you look at the workbook and just see all the Urdu script, please don't worry. The intention is not that you can necessarily read it, and the teacher is there to help you with it. At the end of each chapter in the workbook, you will find a vocabulary list. The vocabulary list consists of 3 columns. On the very right, you will see words or phrases written in the Urdu script, and then there are 2 more empty columns. Now, the words that are listed here are all the words that you will be learning in that chapter. The teacher will present them to you throughout the chapter, and the empty columns are for you to fill out. One of them, you can write a translation, for example, in your own language, or a comment, maybe an example sentence. And then in the other column, we want to encourage you to write the word in Roman Urdu or some kind of transliteration that helps you remember how to pronounce it. The reason we have done it this way, or let me say the reason why we have just written the words in the Urdu script, is because we want to help you have a good Urdu pronunciation from the start. And if you read the appendix number 1, I will explain a bit more in detail about the use of Roman Urdu and transliteration. And one of the challenges that we find in Urdu is that there is no standard Roman Urdu. Pakistanis and native Urdu speakers, they all write Roman Urdu in different ways. And while for them that's not an issue, for foreigners or for non-native speakers learning the language, it can really mess up your pronunciation. So this is why we did not write it here in Roman Urdu or some kind of transliteration. And during your class, or at the end of each chapter, the teacher will read out these words to you, and then we want you to listen very carefully, and you can write your own transliteration. So that's the vocabulary list. Now, another important part of the book is the course book. The course book actually comes before the workbook in the book, and it is basically meant to be for self-study or for review. It includes grammar explanations in English and lots of examples and tables like the one you can see here on the screen. It also includes some cultural notes or pronunciation tips, some study tips. And most of it is written in English with Roman Urdu or Urdu script side by side. It also has a couple of scripts of role plays, of conversations, for example, with a shopkeeper of how to buy vegetables, or with somebody at a bus station to buy a ticket that you can read and you can memorize and learn. So that's basically the course book, and I just wanted to emphasize to you guys who are actually having classes with us that the course book is not going to be really used during class time. This is really just for you at home for review, for self-study, or if you didn't understand something, if you want to look something up, this is where you can go. The workbook, which I just explained, really is the core or the part that you will be using during your classes. Now, another really important part of this book, of this curriculum, is the media package. We have included lots of videos in each chapter and also other audio activities. And you can find all of them free of cost on our website, myqadam.com, and also on our YouTube channel, which is called Urdu Learner. And I, first of all, want to just say that these videos may be a bit difficult for some of you to understand at the beginning, and that is totally fine. We've actually done this on purpose because we really want to strengthen your listening skills. And the teacher in the class will also often give you activities and ask you to simply watch out for a couple of words or phrases. The teacher will not, or we don't expect you to understand every single word, but we want you to learn to tune in your ears and to start to pick out things that you can understand. And the reasoning is that if you learn to do this in the classroom with us in the safety and with the help of a teacher, It will greatly strengthen your listening skills and help you once you're out there in the bazaar, out with your friends, with your neighbors, with your colleagues, to learn and to pick up things even though you do not understand everything. So please do not be discouraged if at the beginning some of these videos are challenging and you don't understand everything. This really is how it's supposed to be. But I do want to encourage you, go and watch these videos after class for review as often as you can. That's why we have made them available free of cost on our website and our YouTube channel. So I hope you enjoy these videos and really take advantage of watching them as often as you can. Now we're almost at the end. As I've mentioned, there are a couple of appendices. The first one is all about the Urdu script, transliteration, and the use of Roman Urdu. So if you want to know a little bit more just in general about this topic, but then also our approach and why we have chosen to include Roman Urdu or not include it the way we have in this book, in this curriculum, then please have a look at this section. Last but not least, we have the glossaries. There's two of them, one in Appendix 2, one in Appendix 3, and it includes all the vocabulary of the book. The first one is sorted in alphabetical order in English, and the other one is sorted alphabetically according to the Urdu alphabet. And you will find a third column in both glossaries, which has a number, and that's the number of the chapter in which you would have learned that word. So if you want to go back, or if you don't remember a word and where it was taught, you can check the number, go back to the chapter, and be reminded of where you learned that. So those are the glossaries. Well, we've come to an end. This was the short introduction to the book Qadam, and I really want to wish you all the best and just say enjoy your first steps, your first qadams that you take in Urdu. Goodbye.